Performance management system is one of the most important aspects of an organization. HR manager are usually the ones who carry out the performance management process in an organization. But where do things go wrong? In the real world, the details of performance management systems are difficult to get right. Let's look at a few common pitfalls. Poor metrics. The metrics that a company chooses must actually promote the performance it wants. Usually, it can achieve this only by incorporating several of them into a balanced scorecard. Problems arise when that doesn't happen. Some manufacturing plants, for example, still set overall production targets for each shift individually. Since each shift's incentives are based only on its own performance, not on the performance of all the shifts for the entire day. Workers have every incentive to decide whether they can complete a full unit of work during their shift. If they think they can, they start and complete a unit. But if they don't, they may slow down or stop altogether toward the end of the shift because otherwise all the credit for finishing their uncompleted work would go to the following shift. Each shift therefore starts with little or no work in process, which cuts both productivity and output. A better approach would combine targets for individual teams with the plan's overall output, so workers benefit from doing what they can to support the next shift as well as their own. Next, poor targets. Selecting the right targets is both science and art. If they are too easy, they won't improve performance. If they are out of reach, staff won't even try to hit them. The best targets are attainable but with a healthy element of stretch required. To set such targets, company must often overcome cultural barriers. In some Asian organizations, for example, missing targets is considered deeply embarrassing, so managers tend to set them too low. In the United States, by contrasting, setting a target lower than one achieved in a previous period is often deemed unacceptable, even if there are valid reasons for the change. Next, lack of transparency. Employees have to believe their targets encourage meaningful achievement. Frequently, however, the link between individual effort and company objectives is obscure or gets distorted as metrics and targets cascade through the organization. Different levels of management in an attempt to boost their own standing or ensure against underperformance elsewhere may insert buffers into targets. Metrics at one level may have no logical link to those further up the cascade. In the best performance management systems, the entire organization operates a single, verified version of the truth, and all employees understand both the organization's overall performance and how they contributed to it. At the end of every shift at one company in the automotive sector, all employees pass the daily production board, where they can see their department's results and the impact of the plant's performance. The company has linked the top-line financial metrics that shareholders and the board of directors care about to the production metrics that matter on the ground. Next, lack of relevance. The right set of metrics for any part of a business depends on a host of factors, including the size and location of an organization, the scope of its activities, the growth characteristic of its sector, and whether it is a start-up or mature. To accommodate those differences, companies must think both top-down and bottom-up. One option is Honshin, Kanri, or policy deployment approach. According to this approach, all employees determine the metrics and targets for their own parts of the organization. Employees who set their own goals tend to have a greater sense of ownership for and commitment to achieving them than do those whose goals are simply. Next, lack of dialogue. Performance management doesn't work without frequent, honest, open, and effective communication. Metrics aren't a passive measure of progress but an active part of an organization's everyday management. Daily Shift handles toolbox talks, after action reviews, and the like all help to engage team members and to maintain a focus on doing what matters most. Applying the plan do act check feedback loop based on pioneering research from Charles Schwartz and William Edwards Deming helps teams learn from their mistakes and identify good ideas that can be applied elsewhere. And in many high-performing companies, supervisors act as coach and mentors. One-on-one sessions where employees demonstrate concern and reinforce good habits at every stage of career development. Next, lack of consequences. Performance must have consequences while the majority of employees will never face the relentless win or leave pressure typical of professional sports. Weak accountability tells people that just showing up is acceptable. Rewarding good performance is probably even more important than penalizing bad performance. Most companies have various kinds of formal and informal recognition and reward systems, but few do enough of this kind of moral building, either in volume or frequency. In venues from lunchroom celebrations to town hall announcements, Employee of the Month and Team Achievement Awards are invaluable to encourage behavior that improves performance and keeps it high. One COO at an industrial goods company keeps a standing agenda item in the monthly business review for recognizing the performance of individuals and teams. Uh, Employees on the list may find a gift waiting at home to thank them and their families for a job well done. Lastly, lack of management engagement. The words of Toyota Honorary Chairman Fujio Cho, "Go and see as why, show respect," are now famous as basic lean production principles. Yet, in many companies, senior managers rarely visit plants except during periodic business reviews, and they appear on the shop floor only when a major new capital improvement is to be expected. Management interactions with frontline personnel are an extremely powerful performance management tool. They send a message that employees are as respected as experts in their part of the business. Give managers an opportunity to act as role models and can be a quick way to solve problems and identify improvements. One company's machinery shop, for example, had developed such a reputation for sloppiness and missed deadlines that managers suggested outsourcing much of its work. When a senior manager was persuaded to visit the workshop, he was appalled at the dirty, cluttered, and poorly maintained environment. Employees reported chronic underfunding for replacement parts and tools and asked the manager what it would take to save their jobs. He told them to clean up the shop and give me a list of what needs to be fixed. Both sides live up to their commitments, and in less than a year, the shop became a reference case for efficiency within the company.